Welcome to MMO Grinder Backtrack, where I take a look at games I've reviewed previously to check out what's new. Today in April of 2018, I'll be revisiting Secret World Legends, the remaster of my former favorite MMO that went under some questionable changes that I've all outlined in my 100th episode. While some improvements have been made to the new version, not all of my problems have been ironed out, but I'll go over some of the more recent and vast changes to the game that have been added since the review. Tokyo, the penultimate area of the game and final area of the original, has been added to Legends, sans Aegis. Provided you still haven't realized that the existing gear upgrade system is basically Aegis, but if you were upset by playing the color matching game, I guess that's out. Until it's not. There are a few missions where the entire mechanic was essential to the story, and in the event those come about, you'll find a suspiciously large amount of towers generating Aegis shield removing pulses, turning what used to be a test of your progress within the zone into a waiting game that you have absolutely no control over. Another odd Tokyo change was removing the random floor element from the Orochi Tower. In the original game, you chose a company on the alpha level of the tower, which consisted usually of a kill quest, got a key from a random company on the beta level, which was usually a sabotage mission, and finally the Omega floors, which always concluded in a boss fight, until you reached the penthouse for the final confrontation. It was a fun system that lent to a meaty but still playable chunk of time and encouraged replayability. And in Legends, you have to go through every single floor in the game in order. Enjoy your 3 to 4 hour time sink. That'd be slightly more fair in saying that you can stop on any floor and save your progress in the ascent, but it turns one of my favorite parts from the original game into a tedious, repetitive slog. At least the ending and the atmosphere is still cool.
Do not panic. Do not panic. Do not panic. 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 Panic.
However, Tokyo remains one of the more challenging and interesting areas of the game, introducing the only NPC that ever overshadowed Kristen Geary in my mind.
Oh, that a boy, said the crow. Just remember, where you hang your head is home. Get it? No, I don't get it either. That's horrible.
If there's a change I can actually applaud in this game, it's the introduction of Anima Allocation. One of my bigger issues with the gear pyramid scheme, or Aegis 2.0, is that if you wanted to make a set specific to dungeoneering, like building a health or healing ability set, you'd have to start from square one with each piece in order to build an entire new set. Anima Allocation is a new feature that allows you to shift point allocation between tanking, damage, and healing, giving you more fine adjustments to stats that'll affect your build, and giving every piece of gear that you're wearing those stats. With this, gear is no longer as much of a slog to collect, but same slot icons still have variance among them, and that god-awful pip quality feature is still in the game. But hey, at least I can remove most of my spare tanking set now. In fact, it's not unlikely to see gear drop from mobs now instead of just an endless parade of loot boxes. Loot boxes are still a common drop, and the chance to drop a piece of gear is still incredibly rare overall, but at least the pieces that do drop offer a bonus stat of some sort, like the stuff you'd see in dungeons, and there's more of a reason to pick up these drops now. A patch a short while back offered up a system that was in the works for a while, in which reaching a high rank with your faction would allow you to hire your own agents. This is basically like the crew member minigame from Star Trek Online, and a bit more like a Facebook or mobile game. You choose an agent card, send them on a mission, wait a specific amount of time, and if you want, pay money to speed up the process. Because of course that's the thing. You can get rewards upon completion of these, and it's a distraction of sorts, but it's not enough to keep me logging in every time to keep checking on them. It's also oddly tough to earn new agents as they're only potentially rewarded from specific quests, unless you purchase agent packs, because of course. But here's the real reason we're here. The only reason I still have Legends installed. We finally got to see the new content that's been in the works since, oh god, 2014? Our trip begins after the events in Tokyo, where we've been told to lay low for a while, and end up getting contacted by a mysterious text informing us of the location of the leader of the Morninglight, a ubiquitous cult that's been involved with plenty of the game's darker moments. Once we arrive in South Africa and the Morninglight's compound, it's up to our characters to earn our way through the cult's oppressive tier system and reach Markart's mansion. Without discussing anything too specific about the content right now, there is a lot I still want to remark on, so if you don't want spoilers, seriously stop watching this. I'll say that the story, as usual, is more than worth playing through, and I'll recommend giving it a go for yourself, unquestionably if you're into the game's story at all. But I don't want to taint your view of anything with my less than stellar views of Legends as a whole. Okay, you still here? I found Dawn of the Morninglight a bit on the slow side at first. Understandable, it's building up its themes and atmosphere, but there's a dull brown environment, filled with beat-up shanties in a stiflingly small yet somehow empty-feeling area with very little to explore. It's not the best first impression when your first task is farming crops, getting into boxing matches, and staying up at night to fight against pterodactyl men and neon hyenas. Get past that though, and shit gets real fast. My personal favorite sections are reading through the cult's telecall procedures, as well as sneaking through files to find out more about John, the unlucky sap who is transformed into the Black Signal, as well as what happens when you finally undo the seal on the final gate. However, technical issues still abound. We had a mission halt suddenly and refused to reset until we left the zone. I also find the new blooded enemy types to be a bit on the ridiculous side, even seemingly reusing the framework and animations of these Russian super soldiers from Transylvania, but looking like ultra-goofy Incredible Hulk knockoffs, with some impractically massive and stupid-looking guns. The story of how they came to be and what you had to do to halt that project was primo, though. Even the final sector, which has your faction handler visiting you directly in person, and has you entering the basement of the mansion to find some of the Morninglight's prisoners, had a really promising and creepy penultimate boss fight that's kinda soured by a completely lame-feeling final encounter where you're forced to dismantle a robot by targeting weak points after it's been shielded. It didn't feel nearly as secret world as any of the previous fights. I also felt the over-reliance on wave combat sections and area clearing missions just dragged out the fights more than they needed to be, as the combat and enemy difficulty in South Africa is a complete breeze compared to what you had to deal with in Tokyo. Once you've completed the main story, you're once again made to wait for contact from your faction, as we're set to follow the trail to the Congo. If you still want to hang around the compound, you can earn the Morninglight's favor the legitimate way by completing chores and side quests to earn favor points, and the area currency to buy a set of available cosmetics. Don't forget the smile. Overall, well, I'm still not exactly sold on Legends as a game. It still doesn't feel nearly as fun or as engaging as Secret World did, but seeing something brand new to both games was a welcome change. Even if I can't help but think how this would have played out in the original game, and I wish I was playing that instead. At the very least, let's hope we're not waiting another 3 to 4 years for that next call from Kirsten Geary. I'll be sure to check back with this game and others in more episodes of MMO Grinder Backtrack. Oh yeah, the gear upgrade pyramid is still a painful chore. Much of the combat and UI systems were never tooled properly to work with the original game's quests, and buying your way to max power is still very much an option for the big spenders. Some things never should have changed.